found out he was sending Valentine's flowers. Just not to me. And the worst part? I had already told him I loved him. So tell me this. How do you walk away from someone who says they love you while lying to your face at the same time? Because even now, I still don't know if leaving was the only thing that could save me, or if I gave up on something that might have been real. It all started quietly, the kind of beginning you don't even notice becoming important. We met in late autumn, just outside London. No dramatic moment, no movie-like spark. Just two people who kept talking a little longer than necessary, sharing music, sending each other songs late at night like they carried meanings we didn't quite say out loud. He wasn't the loud, attention-grabbing type. He was calm, thoughtful, the kind of person who made you feel seen without trying too hard. He listened. And if you've ever been truly listened to, you know how dangerous that can be. We didn't rush anything. There was no label, no pressure, just time. Coffee runs, late-night texts, quiet conversations that somehow felt deeper than they should have. And somewhere in between all of that, I started falling. But I was careful. I had spent years in a previous relationship. Years of memories, habits, emotional investment. And after it ended, it took me even longer to rebuild myself, to learn who I was without someone else beside me. So when he came into my life, I told myself I wouldn't make the same mistakes. He told me he didn't have that kind of history. Said he'd never had anything serious. Just something casual, on and off, nothing real. I believed him. Or maybe I just wanted to. Then February came. On the 13th, he gave me flowers. Nothing extravagant, just simple, thoughtful. Exactly like him. And something shifted. It stopped feeling casual. It stopped feeling temporary. We admitted we liked each other. And for the first time, I thought, maybe this could be something real. But I still had doubts. I told myself not to get carried away. Maybe this was just one of those short, intense connections that burn bright and disappear just as quickly. I even wondered if it might not last beyond a few weeks. I was wrong, because just over a week later, everything changed. I told him how I felt, that I really liked him. And it terrified me. So I thought I was protecting myself. But then he said it. He said he loved me, and everything inside me just gave in, because I felt it too. So I said it back, and that same night, we became something real. Looking back, it was fast. Too fast. But when you're in it, it doesn't feel rushed. It feels right. Like everything is finally falling into place. We spent hours together after that, walking through the city, talking about everything and nothing. It felt easy, almost too easy. He met my family. I met his. That's not something you do lightly. That's something you do when you think there's a future. And I did. But there was one thing that never quite settled. His ex. I asked about her more than once. Not out of jealousy, but because I needed clarity. I needed to know I wasn't stepping into something unfinished. Every time, he reassured me. He said he was over her completely. No feelings, no attachment, just done. And I believed him. I wanted to believe him. But something didn't sit right. Not enough to walk away. Not enough to confront him seriously. Just enough to linger quietly in the back of my mind. Until one day, everything broke. I found out he had still been talking to her. Not casually, not occasionally, up until just days before. Days while he was telling me he loved me, while we were spending time together, while I was building something real in my head, he was still holding on to something else. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was Valentine's Day. He didn't just give me flowers. He gave her flowers too. And not just flowers. Words. The same kind of soft, sweet words he gave me. Words you don't send to someone you're over. Words that meant something. The same words he had said to me. I remember staring at the messages, feeling like the ground had disappeared beneath me. It wasn't just betrayal. It was confusion. Because how can someone say they love you and still act like that with someone else? I confronted him, and he lied again and again. Every answer felt incomplete. Every explanation felt like it was trying to cover something up instead of revealing the truth. And somehow, that hurt more than the betrayal itself. Because in that moment, I realized I didn't even know who he really was. A few days later, he finally told me everything. He admitted that even while we were getting close, he had still been making plans with her, that they had talked about meeting again in the future. So while I was opening myself up, while I was letting myself believe in something real, he was still holding on to another possibility. And yet, he still told me he loved me. That was the part that broke me. Not just what he did, but how easily he said those words to both of us. After that, everything felt unreal. Like I was standing in the middle of something that used to be solid, and suddenly it had turned into smoke. He kept apologizing over and over. Different words, same meaning. I didn't mean it like that. I was confused. I didn't have feelings for her. I only talked to her out of obligation. Obligation. That word stayed in my head because I couldn't understand what kind of obligation makes you send flowers on Valentine's Day. What kind of obligation sounds like love? And more importantly, what kind of obligation competes with someone you claim to love? He didn't have a real answer, just more words, more explanations that didn't explain anything. And I hated that part of me still wanted to believe him, because that's the truth no one talks about. Love and betrayal don't cancel each other out. They exist at the same time. You can look at someone and see the person who made you feel safe, and the one who destroyed that safety, and your heart doesn't know which one to choose. The days after felt heavy. We still talked. I don't even know why. Maybe because cutting him off felt too final, too painful. Maybe because part of me was still hoping this could somehow be fixed. But everything felt different. There was distance now. Something fragile had cracked. And no matter how careful we were, it couldn't be repaired the way it used to be. He kept trying. He said he would do anything, that he chose me, that he didn't want to lose me, and I could see it. Fear in his eyes. Real fear. But I couldn't ignore the question that kept coming back. If he was so afraid of losing me, why didn't that stop him before? Why didn't it matter then? That's when the real conflict began. Because logically, I knew the answer. My friends told me. My family told me. Leave. It's only been a few weeks. If he can do this now, imagine later. He lied to you. Don't ignore the signs. And they were right. Everything they said made sense. But love doesn't follow logic. And that was my problem. Because despite everything, I still loved him. Or at least, I loved the version of him I thought was real. And letting go of that felt like losing something bigger than just a relationship. It felt like losing hope. I replayed everything in my head, every moment, looking for signs, looking for something real. Because if everything was a lie, what did that say about me? That thought hurt more than anything. But at the same time, I knew I had been honest, and there's something painful about giving everything honestly and not receiving the same in return. One night, I sat alone, staring at my phone. His messages were there. Apologies. Promises. Long paragraphs about how he would change. And I believed he meant it. I don't think he was lying in that moment. I think he truly regretted it. But regret doesn't erase what happened. And wanting to change doesn't mean someone will. Then another thought came. If I forgive him now, what am I teaching him? That it's okay? That he can hurt me and still keep me? Because love shouldn't come with that lesson. And yet, leaving felt like giving up. Like maybe I was being too harsh. But then I thought about the future. He was leaving for university later that year. A new environment, new people, new life. And I couldn't stop wondering if this is how things started. What would happen when distance came into it? Would I spend my days worrying, overthinking, losing peace? I didn't want to become that person, but I didn't want to lose him either. And that was the truth. It wasn't just about what was right. It was about what I could live with. So I asked myself one question, not, do I love him? I knew that answer. But can I live with what he did? And I didn't realize it all at once. It came slowly, in small moments, like the way my chest felt when his name appeared on my phone. It used to feel warm. Now it felt heavy. And I realized something I didn't want to admit. Love wasn't the only thing left. There was doubt. And it wouldn't go away. We met again in person. I need to feel what was real. When I saw him, he felt different. Not physically, but smaller. More human, more flawed. And maybe that's what hurt the most. Because I hadn't fallen for that version. I had fallen for the one he showed me. He talked. Explained everything again. Said that he chose me. And for a moment, I almost believed it. Because being face to face with someone you love makes everything feel easier. You remember the good before the pain. I felt that pull, that urge to forgive. But then something inside me asked, if you go back, will it ever feel the same again? And I knew the answer. No. Something had changed, and I couldn't go back. I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't unknow it. I couldn't be that same person again. And without trust, what was left? So I told him calmly, honestly, I can't do this. And I saw it in his face. That moment when he realized it was over. He tried again. Of course he did. But it didn't reach me anymore because I had already made my decision, not based on emotion, but on what I knew I deserved. We didn't end badly. No anger, just distance. And maybe that's harder because it leaves room for what if. That life doesn't move on what if. It moves on what is. And what we had wasn't enough. I still think about him sometimes. Wonder if he changed. If he learned. If he treats someone else better. And sometimes I wonder if I made the right choice. Because leaving someone you love never feels completely right. But staying would have hurt more. And maybe that's the truth no one talks about. Sometimes the right decision doesn't feel good. It just feels less painful. If you've ever been in a situation where love and trust didn't align, I'd love to hear your story, because maybe we're all just trying to figure this out together.